Hello, and welcome back to another experiment video here on the channel. Something that probably hasn't been clear in the first couple of videos, but something that I'm calling Experiment Week. We're taking a bit of a break this week from Shakhtar Donetsk and Shakhtar to Glory, just because there's been a bit of a flurry of news stories, a lot of managerial changes, a lot of managerial rumours, that sort of thing. So just sort of putting those into the match engine and seeing, Football Manager, what it thinks is going to happen. We can maybe come back, look at it again at the end of the season and see if how it gets on. Probably not, because it's quite so far away. It'll be on FM19 by then, but it's just a little bit of fun and just gives us a bit of a little look at what this game thinks is going to happen. So up until now, I believe this is probably one of the last videos I'm recording. This one, and one that I think is, if planned, is out tomorrow morning. This should be out on the Wednesday afternoon rather. So far we should have had the West Ham and Chelsea one on the Monday, the Unai Emery one yesterday, and then we've got another double header today. So this will be the first one. No, this will be the second one. We should have had, if all the planning and scheduling goes right, we should have had the Everton video and the Arteta and Marco Silva one this morning. Obviously with the West Ham one, we knew that's a guaranteed appointment on the Monday, so that's a nice easy one. Chelsea on after that was a Sarri. Obviously it's looking less likely that's going to be happening, but at the time I recorded it and simmed the game, it was looking like quite a high probability, but obviously it's gone a bit quiet on that front, and as far as I'm aware, Conte is still at Chelsea, so not too sure what's happening there. I'm sure that will be something that sort of trundles on through the summer, who knows. Maybe Conte is waiting for the Italy job to come up after the World Cup. I'm not too sure if they've got a new manager already, because they're not in the World Cup, are they? I don't think. I think Sweden got there ahead of them. They've got Unai Emery on Tuesday, again another one. We did do a bit of an Arsenal experiment earlier on before this, and this is just a more in-depth. That was just more of an in-depth one. Like I say, if you've had a look at it, you know what I'm talking about. If not, it'll be in the playlist. Go back and check it out by all means. It's looking at 3 seasons, what he does over those 3 seasons. This morning Everton, Marco Silva and Arteta. Literally about a day after I recorded it, Marco Silva was confirmed, so the Arteta part was a bit pointless, but it was already edited and recorded, so I went with it. We've got this today. It's heating up a little bit more. It's a story that broke, I think, sort of over the weekend. This one we're doing today, you've seen it in the title, so you know what I'm talking about. It's Bielsa. Is it Marco Bielsa? Well, I'll have a look in a minute. I think it's Marco. I can't remember. I'm sure that's his first name. So many managers I've been looking at, and I've been playing a bit of Shakhtar as well. Going to Leeds United, and it's something that's gaining a little bit of traction. I looked at a news story today. I'm recording this on the Monday, the 4th or something. So it gained a little bit of traction today. I saw a few news stories today. It looks like it's quite a high possibility. I'm surprised they're going with someone like that, but if he's available and he's interested, by all means. But Championship's a hard division, and we're going to see that. We've done 3 seasons in this one. I won't mention what we've got coming up tomorrow. We've got another 2 episodes, two other experiments dropping tomorrow, and one of them I'm about to record after this one. The other one's recorded, ready and loaded. And then we've got one more on Friday, and then as of Monday next week we're back to Shakhtar. But Marco Bielsa, we'll have a look at it, make sure it's Marco Bielsa. I'm sure it is, but Bielsa today. A Championship's a hard division to get out of. I thought they might have gone with someone a bit more local, but they don't do things by halves, Leeds, do they? So is it something that the stat I read was something like 10 managers in 5 years? It's something like that. It's some crazy stat, and it's not even that mad chairman in charge anymore. There's someone else there, or even Ken Bates, if you go back a little bit further. He's a little bit mad as well, but he's not there anymore either. So we'll have a look at that and see how he gets on. I haven't recorded this in separate season sections. I've recorded all 3 in one simulation go, so we'll have to just be a little bit wary of that. Try not to give too much away as we're scanning back. I'll have to do a bit of creative editing. To start with, database wise, I've promoted the teams that got promoted in the Championship, just gone. So Cardiff, Wolves and Fulham are up in the Premier League, and West Brom, Stoke and Swansea are down, as well as the Championship teams are up. So I forget who that's. Blackburn, Wigan, I think it's Rotherham have come up, and Barnsley, Burton Albion, and I've got a bit of paper, I'm sure it's got it on it, and Sunderland, of course, have gone down. So we're kind of working with a semi-update database. All the new managers are in place as well, so Darren Moore. I've put Graham Potter at Swansea. Again, that's not confirmed just yet. We may look at that as a separate experiment, but it won't be an experiment week. It'll be just as the odd little one here and there between the Shakhtar save. Planning to get some Fortnite in there as well, and some other stuff in the pipeline. But yeah, so Graham Potter and Stoke is Gary Rowett. I didn't change anyone at Blackburn, Wigan or Rotherham, because as far as I'm aware that should be correct. And yeah, I think that's pretty much where we stand. So we'll get into it now. So let's first of all see if Bielsa is still in charge at Leeds and what his first name is. Marcelo Bielsa. Close enough. So you can see there he's not still the manager. So we have to go back in and see when that changed. See what season he was sacked. So, wow, he was sacked and he didn't last at all. He didn't even last a season. He was 5 months he was in charge. Wow, so we're going to try not to look too much into the transfers and the news here, but 5 months. So we'll cut to the schedule here. So this is the start of the season he was in. So it was in November he was gone. So we're looking round about here. Yeah, it wasn't a great start, was it? So he started with a loss to Stoke in the first game. Went out to Notts County, Sheffield United, Jaws. He was Norwich. He's got two wins on the bounce, win home and away, but it's Norwich and Wigan. Wigan, obviously a newly promoted team. QPR, Swansea, a draw. Derby, a loss. Obviously, I think Frank Lampard I put as Derby manager here as well. Whatever, some other managerial changes I've put in as well. A loss to Reading, a loss to Preston. 4 draws on the bounce: Bolton, Birmingham, Villa, Sheffield Wednesday. And then a couple of wins on the bounce, 3 on the bounce: Hull, Ipswich, Rotherham. And then around this point here, somewhere between the Rotherham and the Bristol City game, I'm not too sure exactly which, but he's lost his job there somewhere. So let's see what he did transfer-wise. So 3rd of July, so he made all bar Stephen Ireland from Stoke. They're all his transfers here. So he signed Malang Sarr, a young defender from Nice. Yeah, he looks pretty good, certainly for Championship level. And he didn't have the best of seasons, to be honest, but with that sort of form, it's not surprising. Sam Field on loan from West Brom. Young centre midfielder, defensive midfielder. Again, looks quite solid for the Championship. He's valued at 10 million now, so he's making his way with West Brom. He's broken into the West Brom team now in the Premier League as well, so that was a good stepping stone for him there to get noticed. Edson Alvarez from America in, I assume, Mexico. Yeah, it looks like Mexico. Centre back, right back. More of a centre back, really. He, again, not too great, but he's gone back to Mexico. He's established himself a bit more. And then we got Tosin Adara Bioyo, something like that. I can't pronounce that name. And he's a young centre back as well. Again, I mean, obviously this is 3 years on, so the stats have probably gone up a little bit. They probably weren't quite as well-rounded as they are now. Again, not amazing. Didn't play a great deal of games for Leeds. Went back to Man City, then had another couple of loans with the affiliate club New York City from Man City. And he actually came back to Leeds again this season and didn't do much better, to be honest. In terms of the outs, did they lose anyone vital? They lost Pablo Hernandez. That's the guy he's retired now. But he's the guy who used to play for Swansea, I think. Yes, he is. I remember having his card on FIFA. Everything comes back to FIFA, it seems. He played 1 game for Leeds this season before going 3.5 to Girona back in Spain. I mean, for a player that retired 2 years later, 3.5 from a Championship club is not too bad business, really, at all. Then we've got... No, he's a centre midfielder. Okay, he's not the guy I thought it was. He's now worth a couple of million, but he looked like not a bad player. Again, played 1 game, signed him on a free, in fact, and then sold him, what, like a month later, I assume? So not a bad bit of profit. He did well for Palermo. He's had a better season this season, a little bit of a blip in the middle. Obviously, they're in CB. Okay, they're in CB, got promoted, wasn't quite as good as you'd expect, and then dropped down to CB, and he's sort of bossing it again. Ekuban, also to Palermo. He's a young Italian, well, not young, he was sort of 22 at the time, 23 at the time. Italian striker. He also had just signed for Leeds, and then they sold him straight away for $750,000, and he's not the most prolific striker. Having a bit of a better time at last season, but yeah, not amazing. So that's the transfers. I mean, there's not really quite a lot of loans out, so I'm presuming they're young players, or I don't know the Leeds team enough to say, oh yeah, they're first team players and they've just gone out on loan. I mean, this guy here, yeah, they're quite young, so it's probably that sort of loan. Let's see what happened with their history. So managers. So I just noticed the next appointment. Okay, so Marcelo Bielsa, he lasted 152 days and was sacked. Obviously no league or cup wins. He won 5 games, drew 7 and lost 8. Is that my... Yeah, 25% win ratio. Not very good at all. Not very good at all. He's replaced by Paul Heckingbottom, who comes back in for a second spell. So, he was caretaker. He came back in as caretaker manager. Is that what that said there? Yes, it did. Okay, he came in as caretaker manager. He was there for about 17 days. He won 50% of his games. I mean, it's 1-1, lost 1 over like 17 days. That wasn't the busiest time in charge. But then they're replaced by Alessandro Del Canto, an Italian guy, who we'll have a look at him in a minute. He's still in the job, so he's still there. He's got a 42% win ratio, 56 games won, 33 drawn, and 43 lost. So he's doing pretty well. So I'm trying to just pad this out because he's only there for 5 months. There's not too much to say really. We look at the squad. Again, we've looked at the ins and outs really. The team other than that is exactly the same. In terms of Championship, let's try and have a look. See if it will let me look where they were first half of the season. I mean, that's not really a reflection because it's going up to like December or something, but yeah, somewhere in this kind of area. You know, as you can see, Rotherham finished bottom in the end. They weren't quite there. Wigan, they did go down as well, but they were much worse off at that point, and Reading were higher up but just sort of tailed off, and Villa off to a bad start there as well in that first half of the season. Leeds not doing too well. West Brom, Swansea, Stoke, as you'd expect. And as you can see, there's no letter next to Leeds in this first season, so we know they certainly didn't go up that season. But we weren't expecting that really, were we? So, Hull, Stoke and Swansea going up. So Hull getting the jump on West Brom. So we'll have a look at the whole table. So Swansea won the title by a point ahead of Stoke, who then a further point ahead of West Brom, who finished 3rd. But that wasn't enough to go through the playoffs. It was Hull who go through in the playoffs, the 6th place team. How often do we see that? The team that finished 6th in the... I think Fulham. Did they finish 6th this season and then get the playoffs? Maybe 5th. They might have been a bit... They had a good run towards the end. They might have surged a bit higher up than that. But we do see the 6th place team go through in the playoffs quite often. Blackburn newly promoted, finishing as high as 9th. Villa down in 12th. Can't imagine Steve Bruce is still there, no. But yeah, I didn't sack him in this game. I left him in there because he hasn't got a replacement yet. Who else came up? It was Wigan and Rotherham, wasn't it? So they're straight back down. We'll take a look at the Premier League as well, just to have a look, see how the promoted teams got on. And that's on the current season, so that's not relevant. So Fulham comes straight back down, bottom. Cardiff just above them. Wolves make a good crack of it, 42 points and finishing 13th. I'm sure if you ask any Wolves fan this season, they probably are dreaming of a little bit higher, but I think a good solid 13th, 12th place finish, somewhere around there. 42 points, I'm sure they'd bite your hand off at that. Goal difference, not amazing, but they are the first team where it starts to hit the double digits, really. Everyone else above them is sort of, you know, single digits minus or starting hitting up into the positive figures. So, yeah, I think Wolves fans would take that. Fulham and Cardiff, not so much. Let's see how he got on in the Cups. I mean, again, he's not going to have featured too far in the Cup runs, I don't think. Carabao Cup, went out in the first round to Notts County, we saw that. J. Roy Grott, great name. Scored in the first minute, but they just fell apart just before half-time. 2-1, that killed the game, and then 3-1 at the end, that made sure of it. FA Cup, by November, probably would have got a few rounds in, assuming they made it through, but no, they went out to Watford in the straight into the 3rd round. Okay, lost to Watford 2-1. 2 early goals there from Watford, sort of really putting the pressure on Decore and Pereira before Says gets a late one back, but not enough. So yeah, I think let's have a look, see if we can have a look at his... We're not going to see his tactics, are we? Oh, that's annoying. Let's see if Bielsa ends up sort of doing anything else. I'd imagine he would have done. He's not got a job now. Or, I mean, this may have, you know, been a sort of nail in the coffin for him, and yeah, he hasn't had a job since. So what, we 3 years on, nearly 3 years on, and he hasn't done anything since. So that's very, very disappointing, really. We looked at him, didn't we? Yeah, that's very disappointing. So he hasn't done anything. So this is a bit of a damp squib of an episode, really, isn't it? So what we'll do, we'll wrap that up here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Should be 11 AM for... I'm not going to give it away. You'll see it tomorrow for the next experiment on this channel in Experiment Week. Yeah, so until then, take care.